Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela, and we're with the Putkela Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week. Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston.
Hello, and welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela, and we're with the Putkela Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, and before we get started on today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to say a word about our sponsor. So today's episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast is brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette with Lake Michigan Credit Union. He's a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim Paquette is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their homeownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. And, I just wanted to say he is so good with first-time home buyers. Recently, he just helped a first-time home buyer, and it's right on top of it.
Yeah, no, I trust him implicitly. He has such great knowledge and great rates and everything we could hope for in a lender that we could recommend to our clients.
And a real professional team. The people that support him are really good as well.
Really on top of things. They do very well at communicating and, and if anything even pops up, they're just right on top of it.
Yes. So thank you for him for helping us sponsor our podcast. So today's episode, I am really excited about today's episode.
Yeah, this one's really fun.
Yeah, so it is just the two of us today. You guys will notice that we don't have a guest in. Usually we bring in local businesses, but sometimes we talk about real estate, but sometimes we talk about other things going on in Livingston County that just kind of have a little bit of a broader scope.
Exactly. We love Livingston County so much, and there's such a variety of people that listen, especially sometimes for people that want to get to know the county better. It's fun to dip into some of these things that are more subject specific.
Right. Yes. And on that note, today's episode, we're going to be talking about the performing arts in Livingston County.
Great.
Because we have a real vibrant performing arts scene, and it's much more robust than people think.
Yes. Oh, no, it's huge around here. It really is. And we've been knowledgeable about it for many years because as our kids were younger, they expressed interest in the theater and wanting to, maybe go to some camps and some other things. And so that's kind of how we were introduced to it. And it was amazing how many resources all around.
Exactly. And just how professional a lot of the productions are.
Right.
So we're going to get into that. So I had a list here. I kind of went through and, together we helped find the different things in the county, talked about what we know, what we don't know. But I wanted to start off with high school productions.
Yeah.
Our son, Colin, is a high school student. He's been in a few productions. He's the one that kind of started into the performing arts first, if I remember right?
I do believe, yeah.
Yeah. So high school productions, they are just, for any of you out there, if you go to them, you would be amazed at how professional they are, how much work goes into these.
Just truly outstanding. We had Mrs. Malo we interviewed her not long ago for Howell High's production of Chicago.
Yes, and they gave an amazing show.
It was really remarkable. And it was nice to have heard behind the scenes ahead of time. But the performances that these students did, set the pit with the students that played the instruments, all of it put together, you would have thought that you were seeing a professional show.
Right. And through the years, we've seen quite a few, high school productions, both in Howell and in Brighton, and they just do such a good job. I mean, I've seen very elaborate sets, and then I've seen some sets that were a little bit simpler. I think that the Chicago set was a little simple, but the choreography made it seem so much more.
Right. Can we take a moment on that? Speaking of, to talk about Anastasia this year.
Yes.
Brighton High School did perform Anastasia, and that was just remarkable. Are they pyrotechnics? What is that not so much fire, but there was kind of smoke and
they did
steam.
They did a lot of the dry ice coming off the sides for the smoke. They did some of those things. One of the things I thought was amazing about that show is they had a section where the people were on a train, and the train car turned on the stage. And I found out afterward that was with remote control, but it was seamless. It was so amazing what they did with that.
You were watching it marveling, how are they doing that? Like,
exactly.
It's just, so as just beautiful sets, beautiful costumes, and phenomenal, really just outstanding. And that it's just these local students that are putting this on, and the teachers behind them, and it's amazing what they're able to accomplish.
No, you would think that and the nice thing about that for people listening, you don't have to have a student at the high schools to go to these productions. Right. Pinckney, Howell, Hartland, Fowlerville, they all put on amazing productions, and they're open to the public. Yeah. So to come in and see those shows, I know in Howell, they do a senior citizen preview show on Thursday before the shows start on Friday. And, the students just love it. And the senior citizens that get to come in and see this show, earlier show, a little less people, a little less crowded. So it's not as, And
it's something that's like a step above dress rehearsal for the students, right?
Yes.
And I can't remember which production it was, but I remember hearing, because whatever it was very modern. So it sounded like the seniors didn't care for the modern one, but for Chicago, they were just absolutely raving, and they knew that they really had a hit on their hands here, because everybody just adored it, not even the seniors.
Right.
But it's kind of neat that they offer that.
Yes. So, and remember, the middle schools do amazing productions as well.
Right.
We had Parker Middle School on our show when our son was in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And
3 years later, lo and behold, our daughter over in Brighton schools, guess what the middle school decided to put on? Beauty and the Beast. So we had to have them. And on both of those, we went on location, by the way. So that way more students could be involved and so forth. But
and I was on the set build for both of those. And it is amazing, the volunteers of the parents that come out. But the quality and the scope of these sets, when you're talking people that haven't done this before, that are coming in to volunteer, and we're bringing our tools from home, and we're like, hey, we're gonna build a castle today.
But yet it looks like remarkable. It looks outstanding. So certainly, I think just that coming together really makes a big difference.
Yes. So and they do a really good job. And again, those are open to the public. So we wanted to start with the schools and what they do, right? But there's so much more outside of that.
Right. And so, as I mentioned, we had started with camps that our son really had some interest. And so we brought him into doing that. And then our daughter from there wanted to do that. But one of the places that really he found a home in was Pinckney Players.
Right.
And we just love Pinckney Players. I mean, they're a big part of the Pinckney community. And in terms of theater, some of the other theater camps or theater groups, I felt like maybe they were smaller and harder to get on, or, I'm not sure entirely.
Yeah, Pinckney Players is really good because they do adult productions. So they'll have, auditions, anyone that wants to audition for, in Howell Community Theater or Pinckney Players, even Hartland Players, they can come in and audition for these productions. But in Pinckney, I know they do a couple adult productions a year, and then they do one youth production a year. So our son was able to do Alice in Wonderland through them.
Yeah. And it was really amazing, just to kind of.
And he got the bug through that.
Yes, he really, really did. But it was such a welcoming environment, and in terms of that, they had plenty of room in terms of the stage, in terms of the backstage, all of that. That in terms of auditions, it makes it a little less intimidating if you're, not having to worry about if, will you even get a part or not, or
exactly. And one of the things Pinckney has, and I'm not sure which other theaters have this, but we went out to see Peter Pan there a few years ago, and they have a fly system in Pinckney.
Wow!
So they can have the, Peter Pan actually flew during the show.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing, and it's nice that they have that connection to the community in terms of adults that are involved.
Right.
Because I know a lot of what we talk about with the middle school, the high school, the kids camps, that's all for kids. But for any adult, even somebody who maybe you've always wanted to try out something like that, but you thought, boy, I've never done that. I wanted to, but it's such a welcoming environment.
It is.
That people have an opportunity here, and they should really get involved.
Right. And all of these that we're talking about so far and coming up for the next few as well, those are volunteer run for the most part.
Yeah.
It's community involvement.
Yes.
Right. And when you're going to see these plays, these are people that live and work in your community that are taking their time out to delve into their passion.
Right.
Right.
And for us to have access to that, to see these shows that are so marvelously put together, is really something that for everybody out there, you should make a point to go check something out this year.
Right. Yep. So our next one is the Community Theater of Howell.
Yes.
Right. So that is connected to the freshman campus. So the freshman campus does have a theater in there. And the Community Theater of Howell is really good because they do summer camps. Our
right.
kids did Seussical the musical through there, right?
Right. And I think Madagascar Jr.
Madagascar Jr., yeah.
But they're always doing something new each year. And one of the things I like about Community Theater of Howell is I feel like there's a lot of creativity of different things, not just sort of the standard plays.
Right, yeah. So they have two things that I know of when you mention that.
And I feel like there might even be more.
There might be more. One is they do old-time radio show recreations. So, those of you out there that know what I'm talking about, so back before TV, you would have radio shows, like you'd have the Green Hornet, you had, the Lone Ranger, a lot of like cop shows.
The Shadow Nose.
The Shadow Nose. so you had all these old shows. Yeah. Johnny Dollar. If you guys have Sirius XM, there's an old-time radio station that you can listen to these old shows. But what Community Theater Howell does is they recreate these on the stage. So they have them standing up there. They have the microphones. They have a person up there that's doing all the sound effects. So they let you see kind of behind the curtain of recreating these old shows. And it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
And what a unique thing to see, right?
Right.
So they have that, and you can try out for those as well. But there's an improv troupe.
Wow. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And they do workshops. So you could actually go and take some workshops and try out to join the improv troupe. I know, did our son Colin and Adam were talking about going to the workshop. They were talking about it.
Yeah, I think because of the dates of the performances, they're busy kids. So I don't think that worked out. But it was so exciting to know that was available and that was out there. And it was geared towards not so much these high school students. It was mainly for adults, right? People that, hey, they're working a full day's job and their free time they want to use to do something different, do something fun and get out of their boxes. And I know we have one of our fellow realtors that kind of engaged in some of that as well too. But especially in that growth mindset, when you're always growing, you're always wanting to try something new. What a fun thing to really tune back into your funny bone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And
build some confidence as well.
Yeah. Improv, thinking on your feet.
Right. Yeah.
Those are good skills to learn.
Watch for in the future. We are hoping to get Community Theater of Howell on our show. They are celebrating their 40th anniversary coming up here in this next year. So I was on their website. They got a lot of things coming up. They have a gala in 2026 coming up, but they're doing a lot because you don't realize they've been there 40 years now.
Wow, that's remarkable.
Right.
Very neat. So tell me more about Hartland players.
Hartland is great. Hartland has a very vibrant performing arts scene. Their theater is a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
but they do a great job. And then their shows will sometimes run 2 or 3 weeks. Like on the weekend only, right? Not every day, but on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Because I remember when I was really wanting to go see Mary Poppins when they did that the one year, in terms of the day, if I hadn't bought the tickets in advance, I didn't know how important that was. And of course, they were all completely sold out for all the shows.
Yeah, they're the ones that are sold out all the time.
Yeah. And I think in part due to the size, but then also the demand, right? Everybody wants to go see them. So if you are seeing something in Hartland, my best advice is to buy tickets early.
Yes. So they do an amazing job as well. And when you look at this and you're talking about, the Community Theater of Howell, the Picnic Players, the Hartland Players, I even know there's one up in Fenton, even though they're right on the edge, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a dedicated performing arts scene.
Yes.
To be able to run, each of these run, 3 or 4 shows a year. So you're talking, 12 to 15 productions in the county, professional adult productions.
Right. With so many people volunteering to help, volunteering to be in, producing, it really is something so remarkable about Livingston County that we have. Like, our population isn't that huge, but we are definitely very much a good gauge of, people wanting to be involved in performing arts.
Right. Which brings us to the Brighton Center for the Performing Arts.
Yes. What a beautiful facility. Oh my gosh.
I know. Well, Brighton High is so lucky to have that right there.
Yeah.
To be able to use it for the school, but then to have it for these professional
as a community.
things that come in.
Tell the audience a little more. Some people, again, might be new to the county, so they might not know what the Brighton Center for the Performing Arts is.
So Brighton Center for Performing Arts is right on the campus or building of Brighton High School, right there near downtown Brighton. It is a full-on performing arts center. It is a huge stage. You got a big, huge balcony, and they bring in national productions.
Yeah, big names.
Big names. John Tesh we saw there.
Yes, we saw John Tesh there. I love John Tesh.
Right.
For anybody old like us, he was part of, Entertainment Tonight. He would be one of those guys, but he actually is a composer, is kind of what's at the heart of it. So I had gotten on with his music and really, really enjoyed it. And so he came and he was performing, and it was so fantastic to see live and in person. And
right. I mean, they've done like some Rockettes type shows, right? I know they've brought in symphonies in there.
Right.
There's an Elvis impersonator show coming up that I saw on their site. But you can get season tickets for that. So you have shows, you have events that are coming in that you can go in there to see.
Yeah. I always feel like there's some fun things at Christmas time, like you said, with the Rockettes. They really do have a robust schedule of different things to be able to go see.
Yeah, for all age brackets. Yeah. I know they had a arts show for kids a couple years ago that was like a music, live action, art, fun show that I remember reading about.
I feel like there was a comedian there.
They've had some national known comedians as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing, wonderful facility that you can support, that you can get season tickets to, that you can just buy tickets to when events come in. Like you said, we saw John Tesh there. That was amazing. He's in Brighton, Michigan.
Yeah, that was so cool. It was fun.
And those of you that don't know, he is the composer behind NBA on NBC, right?
Right.
So he does the theme song for the NBA.
Yeah. And it was so fun to hear him. He speaks to that, right? It mentions that he was struck with inspiration when I think he was working on it. And so he actually called his own answering machine because he didn't have anything to write it down, and was kind of, what would you call it? I don't know.
Explaining to himself to listen later.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole idea.
And you could hear the melody and his message. Like, it was really, really remarkable. And he was very proud of it. But it's one of those things that they had on for like 20 years as their theme song, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, for all of you people that are old enough to remember when he was on Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned that.
In the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's a great thing. But we have so many different things, a lot of live music in the county that people don't realize. Just last week we were at Boots and Beats.
Yeah.
Where they had live country music playing at the amp.
Absolutely. Some of the restaurants we've interviewed and other restaurants do have live music at their restaurants as well, too. So
exactly.
In terms of opportunities.
But one of the great things we have is we have concerts at the courthouse in Howell, right downtown on Fridays during the summer.
Yeah.
Where we'll have some great groups that come in. Magic Bus comes in, which is a well-known cover band in the area that plays music from the 60s and the 70s. They had a Margaritaville band there.
I think there was a Piano Man tribute too.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of different ones that come in there that you can just come for free,
Right.
set up some seats on the courthouse lawn.
Yeah, bring what kind of chairs are those called, right?
Yeah, the camp chairs, the fold-out ones.
Yeah, just bring those, enjoy a good time because there's that beautiful lawn
Right.
that runs in front of the courthouse that makes it perfect to just pull right up.
Right. And then we mentioned it earlier, but the AMP in Brighton, they built an amphitheater right on Mill Pond there that they have like seating that you can sit there on the ledges, and they bring in artists into Brighton too that you can listen to.
Yeah.
So, check out the websites, for, Downtown Howell Authority, Downtown Brighton Authority, the Chambers of Commerce. You can see the schedules for those. I don't want to put dates out there because things change, and they have these every summer.
Right.
So you should be checking them out.
Yeah. There's fun things to get out and see and be involved. And I'll bet you'll run into, friends, neighbors. We are part of the small town community that while it's growing, it really still keeps its culture.
Exactly. Speaking of culture, let's talk about the Howell Opera House.
Yes. Yeah. How many communities can say that they have an old-timey opera house? Do you remember how old it is?
No, I don't, but I remember it's been there a long time. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, they used to have the high school graduations there. If you ever get a chance to get upstairs and actually see the theater of the opera house.
Right, because that's not, generally speaking, open to the public because it is older and
right. So it has a horseshoe balcony in it. The stage up front, old wood floor. It is fascinating to see. I am hoping that they're able to get enough donations at some point to reopen that.
Right. Yeah, I know there's been ongoing renovations and fundraising and so forth. But one of the interesting things is all of the elementaries in the Howell district do a downtown Howell field trip with their students. And I feel like it's third grade, but it's kind of the younger grades. And they are able to take the students in. So as we've chaperoned that for our kids through the years, we were able to get up and see. And it's, almost like this time capsule.
Yeah, the old ticket window and all of that.
It's still there. Everything's kind of,
it's like watching one of those movies where they go into the abandoned theater.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's all old and it's covered in dust. And it's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. But the wood floor that you can tell, like, this has been here forever.
Right. And
it's just really special and remarkable. And then the tour that they give the students talks a lot about what it was used for back in the day and some of the performances.
Yeah. But the Howell Opera House holds amazing events. So they have a few art shows down there every year.
Right.
They have the winter market there during the winter that you can go in when there's not a farmer's market outside.
Because the main level is still very beautiful.
Right.
That's not the old dusty whatever. Like that's a beautiful venue for all of these things.
I know they have acoustic nights every once in a while where you can come in and they have someone playing a guitar or, that. And then one of the interesting things I saw that I forgot that they have is they have an open studio every Tuesday from noon to 3 where they have a live model. So you can come in, pay $10 and you can, draw, do art off a live model, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's really remarkable.
Yeah. So, I really like the Howell Opera House. I really like that they're a vibrant part of the community.
Yeah. It really is a special, unique thing to have here in our county.
Yep.
And then even though that's right. Tell me more, because I had asked about the historic Howell Theater and you had mentioned, well, they're mainly, just movies all the time, but they do some interesting and different things.
Yeah, they do some nice events. And one of the things I saw that they have is they have a film society. So you don't have to be a member of it. You can become a member of the film society. But what they do is they have a movie every month. Like you might go in there to see Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock's. So you're going in and you're getting a ticket and you get some popcorn with the ticket, but you're watching the movie with this group. And then afterwards, you're having a discussion about the movie. So it's almost like a book club, but for black and white movies.
Wow. See, what a neat idea.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun for me because sometimes I just don't have enough time to read a book, but I'd love to delve into something and have a chance to talk to other people and see what they thought and really have that shared experience
Right.
over something that is effectively theater, right?
Right. And it effectively, and I know they do some other events. They've had some live events there before. They've had some comedy go in there. I know that he had a group come in that was Bob Hope impersonators.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
So the nice thing is it is a historic theater, and it is part of performing arts.
Right.
Right. So it's nice to be able to support that and to see that we have that in our community.
Right. We've had sponsorships there over the years and so forth, and we just really like to support local.
Right. And also not on my list, but speaking just outside of the county, I don't know how often they do it, but they usually do it once a summer. If you get a chance to go to Kensington when the symphony comes there,
right,
and they play outdoors at night,
yeah, Detroit
it is
Symphony
a
Orchestra.
sight to behold.
It's usually at sunset, right? We used to go when the kids were little, and sometimes a hot air balloon would, come down and dip into the lake and keep going. Like, it's the most serene experience.
It is, and it's so interesting because you'll have like a family with their kids and everything, and then like right next to it, you'll have two people sitting in their chairs, and they have their wine and cheese because they're listening to the symphony, and then right next to it is someone sitting there with a dog, and the nice thing is they explain what they're going to be playing next and why it's important.
Yeah.
So the times we went to it, I really enjoyed it.
And it's a free event, last I knew.
Right.
Right?
As long as you pay to get into the
you
park.
have to pay to get in the park. Or if you have a pass, annual pass for the park. But just something fun to do.
Yep. So, and keep that in mind. I mean, in the county, there are so many different events going on that are connected to the performing arts. Whether it be live music or plays that you can go to or an improv troupe. There's just so much going on. And that's not even talking about like art in the park that Pinckney does or some of the other things, to just be able to support the performing arts.
Yeah.
And, both of our kids were in band in high school, both of our boys.
Yep.
So our son is still going to be a senior year in marching band. These marching bands for the different schools do such an amazing job.
Right.
To be able to, when you're at the football game, remember to support them during halftime. They work so hard that's that time to cheer for them and to acknowledge the hard work they're putting in. And that's not even to mention the orchestras and what we hear from the choirs.
Right.
Just so many amazing things in this county.
Absolutely. I've heard of even like Christmas carolers.
Right.
When you get to the holidays, and just so many fun things.
Yep. And Livingston does have an adult orchestra.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
Yes, they do.
So they play once or twice a year.
Livingston Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
Yes, tried to get them on. I have not been successful yet.
But that's a great one if you like symphony music.
Yeah.
To be able to have that right in our county to be able to go and listen to.
Right. Exactly. The arts are available and out there. And even though we have busy lives, taking time to support those and to enjoy those here in the local setting is invaluable.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for listening today. I thought that this was a great episode.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Just to talk about the different things.
Yeah. And I know, we've kind of touched on from some of the other topics we've ever had and even some of the restaurants and so forth, but to have it collectively together in terms of performing arts. And I know that there's so many other things that we've missed, but at least these were things off the top of our head that we were able to kind of highlight.
Right. And if we missed one of those events out there, we apologize. We would love to know more about what you're doing.
Right. Maybe we could have you on.
Have you on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today and hope you learned something and enjoyed what we had to say.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And welcome to Livingston.